Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the following. You are standing on the streets of Helsinki, the capital of Finland, a tiny country up north right at the Arctic Circle. It is November. It is 0 degrees Celsius. It's cold. You can feel the wind blow, and even you're wearing a thick jacket, you can still feel the wind up to your bones. And so you pull the hat tighter to your ears. You feel something on your face. It's not rain, but it's definitely not powder snow. It's heavy, wet snowflakes land on your face and run down, and by the time they hit the ground, it's water. It's gloomy and it's gray, and although it's 3 p.m., it's actually already getting dark. You can open your eyes now. Welcome to Finland. As people say, Eskimos have 1,000 words for ice. Well, we Finns have 1,000 words for snow. And one of those words is slush. It means wet snow, the kind of snow that you can see on the picture and that I just described. So nobody in their right mind would want to go to Helsinki at a time like this, right? Except last year, 20,000 people flew to Helsinki at the end of November to see slush. They were from over 120 countries and from different spheres of life. They were there to see the slush. Some of these people you can see here. You might recognize some of them. Al Gore, the former Vice President of the United States. Martin Lau, President of Tencent. Prince William of England. And then you can also see that there were some brave Thai people as well that attended the slush event last year in Helsinki. You might actually recognize some of them. So why on earth would these people fly all the way to Helsinki for slush? Well, I can tell you that they were not there to see the wet snow. They were there to see the world's coolest tech startup event. Pun very much intended. So Slush is a global tech startup event that brings together startups, investors, media, and corporates from all over the world to come together, to learn from one another, to mingle, to have a good time, to be inspired. But most of all, of course, it's a platform for startups to make sure that we nurture them, to make sure that we give them all the resources that they might need to succeed in the future. However, there is something very different about Slush from any other event in the world. And I'm going to tell you a little story about that. How it all started was 10 years ago in Finland. You can imagine 10 years ago in Finland, nobody wanted to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wanted to graduate and go work for Nokia at the time. That was the coolest thing that you could imagine, right? And there were a few Finnish entrepreneurs that were touring universities. They were kind of the pioneer entrepreneurs. They were touring universities in Finland, talking to students about entrepreneurship. And at the end of their talk, they would always ask, okay, how many has thought about becoming an entrepreneur? Just thought, not like want to be, but like entertained an idea. And out of about 500 students, on average, do you know how many raised their hands? 5. 5 out of 500, 10 years ago in Finland, had thought about entrepreneurship. So they said, oh, we have a problem. Finland has a problem because it has no future if nobody wants to start businesses. So they decided to do something about it. They decided to gather a few of their entrepreneur friends and talk about entrepreneurship and what it's like to build a startup, talk about exciting innovations in technology, have a good time, get inspired, maybe party a little bit, right? So they gathered 300 people at the first Slush gathering. It wasn't really even an event. It was a small gathering, very organic. People really loved it, right? They loved the atmosphere and the vibes, and they said, hey, this is fun. Let's do it again next year. So they did, and 500 people showed up. And the year after that, 1,500. And fast forward 10 years, as I said, last year, 20,000 people from all over the world flew to Slush Helsinki. There was a chartered plane from Silicon Valley to bring some investors. There were a lot of people from Asia. So how exactly did it happen, right? How exactly do you start with 300 people and build an event of 20,000? Well, I can tell you that it did not happen because somebody wanted to build an event. Nobody was like, hey, let's make the world's biggest event. No, it happened very organically, from the grounds up, because people just gathered together around the topic that they were very passionate about. And that is the number one thing why Slush, which is kind of the foundation of Slush, and why Slush has become what it is today, because it never was supposed to be the world's biggest or coolest event. People just wanted to do what they really believed in, and did it very organically. There was nobody to guide that. There was nobody to tell them what to do or to guide them or to give instructions. No, they built it from the grounds up. So by 2008, Slush had grown. This small gathering had started to become a little bit bigger. And so people said, oh, you know what? Now we need to get somebody to actually drive it. We need to get somebody to take a little bit of charge. Otherwise, we won't be able to do it. There are too many people these days that want to come and gather together and talk about entrepreneurship. So it was a very positive challenge in a sense. And so they started to think, okay, who could be the ones that would actually take Slush and drive it further and grow it further? And the answer to that was students. And before I continue, I'd like to share with you a little bit about what it is like to be a student in Finland. So I'm a Finnish myself. I did my master's degree in Finland. And I can tell you the student life in Finland is the best time of your life. Of course, a little bit because you learn new things and, you know, you grow and the world expands. But very much because you have a lot of free time. And what I mean by that is in Finland, when you study, you are very much in charge of your own schedules. You, as a student, choose which courses you take, which exams and when you take, how much time you put into studies. It's very autonomous. You have a lot of responsibility for your own studies. What this means is that a lot of the students actually take time to do other projects alongside the studies. So many students work alongside the studies, and many students actually get involved in a lot of exciting projects. So it might be student unions or student boards, it might be organizing events, doing projects, anything that they can think of. If they're passionate about something, they'll say, hey, let's start a club around that, let's start a project around that, and they just go and do it. There is nobody that's, again, overseeing them. There is no professor that comes and says how they should run. There is no government, nobody. They just do it themselves. They gather up a group of passionate people and they do it. And so coincidentally, in Aalto University, which is one of the main universities in Finland, there was a student entrepreneurship society. And they said, hey, well, we're all about entrepreneurship. Why don't we take Slush over and we'll start developing it, right? I mean, we're always going to have students here. We're always going to be passionate about entrepreneurship. It's a great fit. So that's what they did. And since 2008, up until last year, of course, Slush has grown into this massive, massive big event that even Al Gore wanted to fly down to speak at. But now you're thinking, okay, wow, this is really cool, but why? Why would any students want to put so much of their time, you know, and they have studies and their friends and everything. Why would anybody want to put so much time into building something like Slush? Well, the first reason, and the kind of the vision behind Slush, is to change the mindset towards entrepreneurship. So like I was saying 10 years ago, nobody wanted to be an entrepreneur in Finland. It was a very tough thing, and people thought that you only are an entrepreneur if you don't get a job, and so you're poor you have to start your own business because nobody wants to employ you, right? Which we now feel is silly, but back in the days, that's how people thought. And so the students and a lot of the young people that believe in entrepreneurship and that were driving Slush believe that, you know, we wanted to build this platform so that we can change those mindsets. We can tell people, oh no, it's not because nobody wanted to employ us. We don't want to work for somebody else. We want to be the change makers. We want to give jobs to other people. We want to change, you know, the world, and that's why we want to build businesses. So it was really all about changing that mindset towards entrepreneurship. And of course now, in the 10 years, actually, there has been a lot of mindset shift. Nowadays, if you ask fresh graduates who want to become an entrepreneur, almost half of those 500 people would raise their hands. It's a really cool thing these days in Finland to be an entrepreneur. And of course now, Slush has already changed those mindsets. So now really the goal is to provide a platform for the next generation of world-conquering entrepreneurs, to give them resources, to give them access to people like Al Gore or Martin Lau, to help them to learn from one another and meet people from all over the world. That's now the goal of Slush. The second thing why people were so excited to build Slush is this. We're a non-profit organization, so our goal is not to make money, and this makes us very unique from any other big event of its scale, right? When you think about it, when people put a lot of the work and the effort, the reason why they put it is not the money. They're not looking to get compensated. They're just so passionate. They believe so much in the change that we can make that they're actually, happy to give their time and to give their effort. And this is very powerful. When you combine a group of people, and I'm going to talk a bit later how many people actually are building Slush, and it's amazing. When you combine a group of people, the common purpose is something that really makes them work really hard, and the result is different. When people go to Slush events, they say, oh, I feel this energy, there's this buzz. How do you create it? Well, we create it because we have a common goal, and we all believe so much in that common goal that we don't count the hours. We just really want to make the best event for startups. And the third reason why a lot of the people are involved with Slush is fun. Right? Because it has to be, everything that you have to do, it has to be fun, right? You have to get something out of it. And when there's an idea that somebody suggests, our first question is not to tell why it's not possible. Our first question is to ask how we can make it possible. Here are actually some examples of the fun at Slush. This is the Finnish examples of what is fun, running in your underwear from a sauna in the middle of the winter. But really, I mean, on the left, you see that there was some fire on the stage. 2 years ago at Slush, at the opening show, there was fire. Because somebody from the Slush team thought that it could be a fun idea. Why don't we have fire on stage? And instead of somebody saying, oh, you're crazy, we can't have fire, people started to think, okay, how do we make fire? How do we make it possible? What needs to happen for us to have fire on stage? And we did, right? And then somebody suggested, hey, you know that saunas are a very big thing in Finland. So somebody said, why don't we have saunas at Slush? Yes, let's do a sauna village. And last year, at the actual Slush venue in Helsinki, there was a sauna village. So people could go in the middle of the talks and in the middle of the meetings, they could go to a sauna and refresh themselves, right? This is the kind of mindset and the kind of attitude that Slush is all about. Well, you might say, okay, I hope that you guys are excited and say, yeah, okay, well, this is great, and all of this, what we understand why Slush is happening. But what really made it possible? I mean, you might be passionate about many things, but it doesn't mean that you just go and do it, right? I mean, there's a lot of risks and there's a lot of failures along the road, and you may not know actually how to do things. So what exactly made it possible? And there are two things that made Slush possible. One is the unique culture of volunteering. So Finland has a very, very unique mindset towards volunteering. A lot of the times, for example, here in Asia, a lot of the people see volunteering as, for example, you go to elderly home to care for elderly, or you work with underprivileged children, or you do charity, and that's volunteering. In Finland, we take one step forward and we say anything that we're passionate about, we just go and do it. And we don't think about compensation, we don't think about titles, we're not waiting for somebody to come and give us instructions. We just go and do things that we really are passionate about. And in Finland, I think it's probably the country that has the most non-profit organizations in the world. People are starting organizations and clubs and societies all the time around the things that they feel they are very, very passionate about. And in Finland, there's one word called talkoot. which has no equivalent actually in English. What it means is that people just get together and help one another to accomplish something, right? So for example, if you need to, I don't know, like build a garage, you might invite all your neighbors to come down and to a talkot, and they understand that this means that they'll just help you because they want to help you, because they feel that you should have a nice garage, and maybe after that you have a nice barbecue. So this kind of talko spirit is something very, very unique, and something that Slush very much exercises. So here's a picture of some of the volunteers that work with Slush. In the upper picture, it's from Helsinki. 2,500 volunteers were volunteering last year for Slush in Helsinki. And by volunteering, I don't just mean that, oh, you just come at this time, at this date, and check the badges. No, by volunteering, I mean that volunteers were actually building the stage, they were carrying chairs, they were painting the signboards, they were bringing the printers and the registration tables and made sure that the flow works. They were the ones to reach out to speakers, even some of the very high-end speakers like Al Gore. It was a Slush team that reached out to them, and nobody, not their supervisors, there is no such thing. So it was really all done by the volunteers. And the photo from downstairs is from Slush Singapore. I'm going to talk about it a bit later, but we had 300 volunteers in Singapore to do exactly the same things. So the number one thing, what makes Slush possible, is the unique volunteering culture. And the second thing is another word that I wanted to teach you guys. It's the word called sisu. And it also does not have an equivalent in English, but this is a very important word for Finns. It basically means the kind of perseverance, not giving up, doing things against all odds. Even when it's difficult, if you know something needs to be done, you do it, and you can trust that people do it. No matter, maybe you're tired, maybe you feel like you want to cry, you don't want to go, it's early in the morning, and maybe your friend has a birthday and you don't want to go do something, but you still do it. It's the sisu that keeps you going. And you can imagine building an event of 20,000 people, it requires a lot of sisu. There are so many failures and mistakes along the way. There are speakers that cancel last minute. There are F&B that runs out, and there's, you know, the printers sometimes don't work, and you have long queues and whatnot. There are so many things that can come in between an event and your idea, but we don't care about it. Because we have sisu, we really push on. So these, you would say, okay, this is really great, I'm inspired, and I understand the unique culture of volunteering, and sisu is what, you know, makes Slush happen. But what about the results? So is it just all fun and people go and party and then they go back and never think about it again? No. Actually, there are a lot there's a lot of serious business that's done at Slush as well. So there are many thousands of meetings that are held between investors and entrepreneurs. There's a lot of investments that are being made. There's a lot of statistics about it. But my favorite statistic is actually this. In the Nordics, so Nordic countries is Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland. In the Nordics, that region is only about 0.3% of the world's population. However, we produce 10% of the billion-dollar exits globally. That cannot be a coincidence. So 10% of the billion-dollar exits come from the Nordics, which is a very, very small part of the global population. So there must be something about the Nordic mindset that you know, produces it. And we believe that from 10 years ago, when nobody wanted to start a business, to today, at least in Finland, the common denominator is Slush. It is a platform that has actually encouraged people to go ahead and build businesses. Okay, so I've talked a lot about what is, you know, happening in the Nordics, but, you know, in all honesty, we're not in Helsinki. We are in Bangkok. We are in the heart of Southeast Asia. So why should you care what happens in Helsinki? Well, because we have Slush events all the way here in Asia as well. So there's Slush in Tokyo, Shanghai, and also in Singapore. So Slush Singapore was organized for the first time 2 years ago. This year it's happening on the 14th of September. And what's exciting from your perspective over here is that we actually represent the Southeast Asia. So we kind of realized that, that there were these, because we saw what a big difference Slush made in Finland towards changing the mindset towards entrepreneurship, we thought that it would actually make sense to do something like this in Asia as well. However, every single Slush event all around the world is done in the same way, grounds up. It's always done by the local community and by the local people. Of course, as you can see, I'm not local, I'm from Finland, but I have lived in Singapore for 7 years, and we have a lot of the locals in our team at Slush in Singapore as well. But the whole idea is that we find what it is that we want to change in the local mindset. And for Slush in Singapore, there are 3 key things that we would like to achieve. Number 1 is the same as the Slush vision, right? To change the mindset towards entrepreneurship. And I want you guys to think, when you think about entrepreneurship in Thailand or in Malaysia or in Singapore, you can see that it's starting to get very buzzing, right? Like, it's no more like a taboo. Like, people know what a startup is. They know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. However, the mindset is still maybe not 100% there. If you're a young person and you graduate and you want to start a business, you still have to convince your mom and dad to let you do that, right? That you have to convince maybe your friends or your professors to say, hey, I don't want to go work for a traditional company. I want to do something of my own. And very often they would say, okay, well, you have like 1 year to prove that you're going to be successful and whatnot, right? So there's still a little bit of that, mindset that it's still something new. And the second thing is that, we are all about, as a part of promoting the mindset towards entrepreneurship, we also want to promote that failure is okay, right? Because there's no way you're going to be a successful entrepreneur if you don't fail. And you have to fail many, many, many times. And it doesn't mean just small mistake. You really have to fail big to gain success. And we just want to promote the fact that it's okay. You can publicly go and say, oh, you know what? We screwed up. Like, we failed. It's okay. I'm just gonna, get up and try again. And this is something that's still a little bit difficult, especially in this part of the world. And we just want to be a platform where we invite exciting and inspiring entrepreneurs to also share their failure stories, how they failed, and what they did after that. So that is our goal number 1. Our goal number 2 is to build a new culture of volunteering. So that unique culture that Finland has, we don't want to just keep it in Finland. We want to spread it to the world, because we feel like that's one of the key elements that is going to build things like Slush and exciting startups, and is really going to change the world. We see at Slush Singapore as well, we work with 300 volunteers, and many of them are students, and they're so smart and they're so talented, and actually many of them also come from other countries in Southeast Asia. We've had some volunteers from Thailand as well, and we see how smart people are and how amazing ideas they have. But very often, after you graduate, your first job is to go work for a corporate, and the first 2 years you're photocopying papers. But you can do so much more. So we want to be that platform for the pool of talent in Southeast Asia to show what you actually can do, to show that you are smart, to show that you are resourceful, to show that you have sisu, right, here in Southeast Asia as well. And we believe that by doing this, when you eventually then graduate and go on to work for businesses, you're going to be bringing a lot of more value, because you already have hands-on experience and not just something that you've read in the books. And of course, we hope that we encourage you to start your own businesses as well. So yeah, like I said, this was the lower picture is from Slush Singapore last year. We had 300 volunteers. They were hosts. They were reaching out to our speakers. They were organizing side events. They were giving out ideas of how the stages should look like. Everything from A to Z we really do with the help of the volunteers, which is really, really amazing. Finally, what we want to do at Slush Singapore is we want to put Southeast Asia on the map. We think that it's time to do that because very often we realize that when we speak, for example, in Europe, when we talk about Asia, many people go, oh, China. Yes, I know China. Okay, fair enough. But there is so much more than that as well. And this particular region, I think, is a little bit unknown to people from the business perspective. Many people go to Bali or to Phuket for a nice beach holiday, but they don't realize that there is so much business potential. There's 650 million people living in this region and very, very rapidly developing markets. So it's really exciting. There's so many exciting opportunities, especially in technology. So we want to really show the world what Southeast Asia is all about. And so what we want to do, last year we had 3,000 attendees at Slush Singapore from 74 different countries. So what we want to do this year is we want to invite all of those people back to Slush Singapore, and we want to invite all of you guys from Thailand, like the top startups from Thailand, the top investors, the top, just business, like the business and entrepreneurial minds, students, to Slush Singapore and from all the other Southeast Asian countries, so the world sees the best of Southeast Asia. And when they see who is there, when they see the potential, they can then continue, on their own and maybe visit those countries separately. But we want to be the starting point for people to realize the potential of Southeast Asia. So I hope that right now you know a little bit more about what Slush is. I hope that you're excited to join us in Singapore or in Helsinki as well. And I hope that now you know what Slush is. It is wet snow, but it is also the world's coolest, best known tech startup event. But it's more than just an event. It's a movement. It's a global community of doers and change makers that want to create something for the community that's built by the community. And I'd like to invite you all to join the global Slush community to change the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anna. Actually, I wanted to tell you that you have the word sisu, right? Sisu, right? Do I pronounce it correctly? In Thai, we have the word susu. Yeah, the word susu. What does susu mean, girls? What is the silent? Susu, it's mean to encourage, to cheer up. So it's kind of like if you have a good motivation or you're feeling down, you say susu. So are you guys? Can you say susu for me? See? And